Sexual prejudice versus sexual discrimination. So first, let us define sexual prejudice. Sexual prejudice refers to negative attitude, beliefs, and behavior directed towards individual or groups based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. It encompasses a range of harmful actions including discrimination, stereotyping, prejudice, and violence. So most common of my examples are in the LGBTQ plus. So first, sexual discrimination in discrimination. So it denies individual opportunities or rights based on their sexual orientation and gender identity. This can occur in areas like employment, education, housing, healthcare, etc. So next is stereotyping. Holding fixed and often inaccurate beliefs about LGBTQ plus. So this stereotype can include assumption about their personalities, behavior, or abilities. So next is prejudice. So having negative feelings or bias towards LGBTQ plus people. So this can manifest as hostility, fear, or aversion. So last is violence. Violence and sexual prejudice, physical or verbal attacks against LGBTQ plus individuals. So this can range from insults and threats to physical assault and hate crimes.
Sexual prejudice refers to negative attitudes, discrimination, or bias against individuals based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. This often affect LGBTQ plus students in school environments, leading to bullying, exclusions, or verbal abuse. Example of sexual prejudice is student making derogatory remarks about an LGBTQ plus classmates. This could include name calling, jokes, or offensive comments which can negatively impact the mental and emotional well-being of the target students.
Example of sexual prejudice. Teachers unknowingly using heteronormative language, or examples, exclusion of LGBTQ plus topics in curriculum, bullying and harassment targeting students based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. So, sexual prejudice refers to negative attitudes, discrimination, or bias against individuals based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. In the example, the teacher's actions are not based on the student's actual performance or behavior, but rather on personal biases against LGBTQ+. Example of sexual prejudice in the workplace. Headlines: Sexual prejudice in workplace. Colleagues making jokes or offensive comments about someone's sexual orientation. Managers exhibiting unconscious bias in hiring or promotion decisions. For example, a highly qualified female employee applies for a promotion to a managerial position. Despite her excellent performance reviews and leadership skills, male supervisor believes that women are too emotional to handle high-pressure decision-making. Instead of promoting that female employee, he chooses a less experienced male colleague, citing vague reasons like better leadership potential. So that was an example of sexual prejudice where biased beliefs about women's capabilities lead to workplace discrimination. The supervisor's decisions is not based on merit but on stereotypes that women are less suited for leadership role.
Example of sexual prejudice, unsafe and unwelcome in the serious issue that need to be addressed here. Are some possible reasons. Example, discrimination and harassment, lack of policy of source, and lack of representation of the LGBTQ leaders, and in, in conclusion of any events terms team building activities. Employees and team building activities for fostering here and some example. Choose inclusive activities. Use inclusive language, and can be direct. Refuse to hire, including lack of inclusive policies. Often use consequence sexual produce, but it can occur indefinitely.
Defining sexual discrimination. What is sexual discrimination? It is an unfair or unequal treatment of individuals based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. It also involves action or policies that disadvantage individuals. Sexual discrimination means treating someone unfairly just because of their sex or gender. This can happen in jobs, schools, or daily lives when people are denied opportunities, paid less, or treated differently just because they are male, female, or other gender. For example, when a company refuses to hire a woman for a leadership position because they believe only men can handle these high-pressure rules. Even if she has the same skills and experience as the male candidate, she is unfairly denied the job just because of her gender.
So, sexual discrimination in school and also school policies that exclude or marginalize LGBTQ students, denial of access to resources or opportunities based on sexual orientation or gender identity. So now here's the this is the example. Refusal to recognize a student gender identity. A transgender student is denied the right to use their preferred name and pronouns, or it's forced to use a bathroom that corresponds to their assigned sex and birth rather than their gender identity. Second is bullying and harassment. An LGBTQ student is subjected to verbal or physical abuse. Next, exclusion from school activities. An LGBTQ student is barred from participating in school events such as prom or sport team because of their sexual orientation or gender identity.
Example of the sexual prejudice in a workplace. So, in disciplinary actions disproportionately affecting the LGBTQ plus students. This refers the situation where student or part of the LGBTQ students face harshest or more frequently disciplinary actions compared to their peers, often due to bias or prejudice from authority figures. It reflects unfair treatment based on sexual orientation or gender identity. So next, the lack of inclusive restroom for changing facilities. This happens where workplaces do not provide restroom or changing space that are safe and comfortable for all gender identities. This exclusion can make LGBTQ plus individuals feel unwelcome or unsafe, impacting their well-being and productivity.
Harassment or bullying leading to a hostile work environment. Harassment covers a wider range of harmful behaviors, including discrimination, intimidation, or target mistreatment. Bullying is especially focused on one student as the primary cause of the toxic environment.